Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yesterday, most of you have presented well in the test, and I was so happy to see that. And keep presenting like that only. Are you ready for the today's test? Hello. Are you ready for today's test? Come on, tell me. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Verbally, I had informed you yesterday in the class that I was taking a test today, and even in the writing, I have given you the notice, the topic, and still you are not saying that you are present for that. Why so? Achha, listen. Uh, let's begin with this topic because we need to finish with the Tempest also. Clear? Tomorrow I'll be taking a test, and sorry, there will be extra class tomorrow. All right, and that extra class, I hope with no other extra classes scheduled tomorrow.
No, ma'am.
Okay, acha, tomorrow it's Muharram. Is there any problem in attending the class? I hope not.
मैम आज है
आज है.
यस मैम
मैम आज और कल दोनों.
All right. So, is there like you have something like some rituals to perform that you can't attend the class? Is there any problem to attend the class tomorrow?
No, ma'am. No. No, ma'am. No problem.
Thank you. Is there any other extra class scheduled tomorrow?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No,
so
ma'am.
tomorrow is the extra class. Now let's begin with the chapter. Yesterday, we had seen that Ms. Klonzner had heard the sound of creaking sound, that shrieking sound of the rosebuds when they were being cut, and after that he has heard the same shrieking sound, a little faint one, of the daisy flower that he plucked, and finally he has decided next morning to go to the garden, and he has we have seen till page number 108 we need to start with. From
Yes,
where to
ma'am.
start
We
with?
have to start with 108.
From where? Which paragraph?
From starting.
All right. He stood up and removed the earphones. It was getting dark and he could see the pricks of light shining in the windows of the houses all around him. Carefully, he picked up the black box from the table, carried it to the shed, and put it on the workbench. Then he went out, locked the door behind him, and walked up to the house. Now, what happened? Because it was getting dark, so he decided to go back to his house, and he took the machine, put it on the workbench, everything he settled back, and finally he went to his, means after locking that shed, he went to his room. The next morning, Klonzner was up. As soon as it was light, he dressed and went straight to the shed. He picked up the machine and carried it outside, clasping to his chest with both hands. When someone is clasping something to his chest, what does it indicate? Yes? If someone holds something and he holds it tight next to his chest, what does it mean? What does it show?
That it is precious for
Yes?
him.
Yes, correct. That it is very precious for him, that he is very emotionally attached to the thing. Clear? Understood? Now, finally what happened? He simply woke up very soon in the morning, and he went inside, and he took the machine to the park, walked unsteadily under its weight. It was very heavy, so he walked as if he was getting pressed under its weight, and he walked to the park. He went past the house, out through the front gate, and across the road to the park. There he paused and looked around him. Then he went on until he came to a large tree, a beech tree, and he placed the machine on the ground. Close to the trunk of the tree. See what happened? Start underlining. The next morning, Clonsner was up as soon as it was light. He dressed and went straight to the shed, picked up the machine and carried it outside, clasping to his chest with both hands, walked unsteadily under its weight. Underlined this much. Underlined this much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then
मैम प्लीज रिपीट कर दिए एक बार.
the next morning, Clonsner was up as soon as it was light. That he dressed and went straight to the shed. He picked up the machine and carried it outside, clasping it to his chest with both hands, walking unsteadily under its weight. Then underline, he paused and looked around him. Then he went on until placed the machine on the ground close to the trunk of the tree. Underlined.
Yes, ma'am.
After 2 lines. All right. Quickly he went back to the house, got an axe from the coal cellar, and carried it across the road into the park. He put the axe on the ground beside the tree. Now see, this is what he has done. See, this story is in a very easy language. You can understand it very easily. All right, I will try to finish this story within this period, and then I'll be starting. Good morning, Rita. So what happened? He simply went to the tree. He put the machine next to the tree. Then he went back. He fetched an axe, and he put the axe also there only. He has brought the axe. What does it show to you? Yes.
Ma'am, now he
The
will.
tree so that he
Yes.
is going to the tree so that he can listen that sound in a quite high level. The tree is quite
Yes.
bigger than the rose.
We want to see the difference of the sounds. See, there was a difference in the sound of the rose bush and the daisy flower. There was a sound. Daisy flower was shrieking a little dim. Yes.
Yes,
Wants to
ma'am.
see how grand tree, giant tree shrieks. All right, whether it fails or not. Okay. Then he looked around him, peered nervously through his thick glasses in every direction. There was no one about. It was 6 in the morning. All right, it was just 6 in the morning that all his preparations were done. He put the earphones on his head and switched on the machine. He listened for a minute to the faint, familiar humming sound. What is this humming sound of? Yes. What is this humming sound of? Yes.
The sound machine.
Yes, the sound is of the machine itself. Then he picked up the axe, took a stand with his legs wide apart, and swung the axe as hard as he could at the base of the tree. The blade cut deep into the wood and stuck there. And at the instant of impact, he heard most extraordinary noise in the earphones. All right, now underline. Then he picked up the axe, took instance with his legs, and underlined till noise in the earphones. And what happened? He took the axe, hit the tree very hard with the axe, and it was such a hard strike, like stroke, like the axe was stuck in the stem of it. And at this time, he heard a sound that was very loud and very extraordinary. Clear? Is that
Yes,
clear?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now underline. It was a new noise, unlike any he had heard before. A harsh, noteless, enormous noise, a growling, low-pitched, screaming sound, not quick, not short, and short like noise of roses, but drawn out like a sob, lasting for fully a minute. Loudest at the moment when the axe struck, fading gradually fainter and fainter until it was gone. Clear? This sound, it lasted for almost a minute. All right. It was the loudest at the moment when he has hit the trunk. Then it got faint and faint. And finally, after a minute, it ceased. Understood, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Do I need to remind you again about the attendance? I hope not. Closener stared in horror at the place where the blade of the axe had was sunk into the wood flesh of the tree. Then gently he took the axe handle, worked the blade loose, and threw the thing on the ground. With its finger, he touched the gash that the axe had made in the wood, touching the edge of the gash, trying to press them together to close the wound, and he kept saying, tree, oh tree, I'm sorry, but it will heal. It will be fine. Okay, so this is what he did. What happened? He finally he heard this sound. He was very much touched with this sound, with the noise. And what happened? He he touched the wound and he said that, please, oh sorry tree, I'm very sorry, and it will heal, your wound will heal. And he pressed the wound with his hands softly. Clear? For a while he stood there with his hands upon the trunk of the great tree. Then suddenly he turned away and hurried off out of the park, across the road, through the front gate, and back into the house. He went to the telephone, consulted the book, dialed the number, and waited. He held the receiver tightly in his left hand and tapped the table impatiently with his right. You can see how restless he is right now. Yes, yes, Manjeet, I saw you
Yes,
present.
ma'am.
What he did, he went to his room. He dialed the number, and he was waiting very curiously for the person to attend the phone, to pick the call. He heard the telephone buzzing at the other end, and then click of lifted receiver, and the man's voice, a sleepy voice, saying, "Hello, yes." Now finally, the man picked the call. "Dr. Scott," he said. "Yes, speaking." "Dr. Scott, you must come at once quickly, please." Means the man was sleeping, and at the instant when he is not even completely wake up, he is calling the man to his place. This is the level of his excitement. Clear? Who's it speaking? Closener here. And you remember that I told you last night about my experience with sounds and how I hoped I might. Yes, of course. But what's the matter? Are you ill? No, I'm not ill, but... So what he says, he called the doctor, and the man got puzzled. What happened in the early morning? Is he feeling ill? the man told that your counselor, he told that no, he was not ill, but there was something that he needed the doctor there. Yes, of course. But what's the matter? Are you ill? No, I'm not ill. But it's 6:30 in the morning. The doctor said, and you called me. But you are not ill. Now the doctor, he felt like this is just 6:30 in the morning, and the person is not ill, and still he is calling him to the place. Please come. Come quickly. I want someone else to hear it. It's driving me mad. I can't believe it. Now what he says, please come and listen to it. I want someone else also to hear it because I can't believe this. It's driving me quite mad. The doctor heard the frantic, almost hysterical note in the man's voice, the same note he used to hearing in the voices of people who called up and said, "There's been an accident, come quickly." He said slowly, you really want me to get out of bed and come over there? Now he has heard this sound. It was not like such a hysterical sound he has never heard. He has heard, but usually when the people call and say, there is an accident, please come immediately. Understood, everyone? Are you listening, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Put your cameras on. Let me see you. Everyone, put your cameras on. Let me see you. Clausen, all right then, I'll come. Sorry, yes, now at once, please. All right then, I'll come. Means your protagonist, Clausener, he said, yes, sir, I want you to come instantly here. And at this, he said, okay, fine, I will be coming. Clausener sat down beside the telephone and waited. He tried to remember what the shriek of the tree had sounded like, but he couldn't. He could remember only that it had been enormous and frightful, and that it had made him feel sick with horror. He tried to imagine what sort of noise that human would make if he had to stand knocked to the ground while someone deliberately swung a small sharp thing at his leg so that the blade cut deep and wedged itself in the cut. So now he was comparing the sound, with that of, suppose if someone hits the leg hard and the blade gets stuck to it. All right. No, quite different. The noise of the tree was worse than any known human noise because of the frightening, toneless, throatless quality. Now, he said to himself, this noise, it was quite different from human being. It was not a noise that it was not experience that human being has ever done. It was an experience, quite new one that human being was unaware of. It was a throatless shriek. It was an experience unknown to human being. He began to wonder about other living things, and he thought immediately of a field of wheat standing up straight and yellow and alive, with the mower going through it, cutting the stems, 500 stems in a second, every second. Oh my God, what would that noise be like? Now what happened? He started imagining if these things, if herbs and shrubs and plants and trees, they are making noise when they are being cut, then what the noise will be like when harvesting is done. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
When harvesting of the crops is done, hundreds and thousands of them are cut together. Yes. Then what the
Yes,
sound
ma'am.
will be? This is what he wanted to know. Why is the strength so less today? First, I thought the children are interested to study and they want to continue with me. But now I see you don't, then fine. Even I will discontinue and I will set you free, as I did in the film. I do not want to go to a wheat field with my machine. I would never eat bread after that. But what about potatoes and cabbages and carrots and onions? And what about apples? Ah, no, apples are all right. They fall off naturally when they are ripe. Apples are all right if you let them fall off instead of tearing them from the tree branch, but not vegetables. So now what he thought? See, vegetarian people, they are vegetarian because they can feel the pain of those animals being slaughtered. Is it so or not? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What if I, when I pass and I see a shop, some chicks are being slaughtered or some goats or something like this is being slaughtered. They are cutting fish or cocks. These creatures are being slaughtered for making it food to human being. I feel like how the hell the people can eat it? Can't they feel the pain that these creatures are feeling? All right. So this is why I can't ever imagine of having such a thing. All right. So this is what it is here. Klonzner thought like he can't even eat vegetables and grains and all these things because they also feel pain when they are being wiped off. Understood? Now what he says, he heard a click of the front gate latch and he jumped up and went out and saw the tall doctor coming down the patch like little black bag in his hand. Now what happened? He heard a click sound at the door and the doctor was there standing and waiting. Well, the doctor said, well, what's all the trouble? Now the doctor said, what's wrong with you? Why have you called me for? What have you called me for? Come with me, doctor. I wanted to hear it. I called you because you are the only one I've told. It's over the road in the park. Will you come now? Now he very excitedly he said, because doctor, I have told you about my experience, about my experiment. So that's the reason I want you to listen to that. Please come and see that, listen to that. The doctor looked at him. He seemed calmer now. There was no sign of madness or hysteria. He was rarely disturbed and excited. Now, doctor, he felt comfortable now. Why? Because when he had left, he felt like maybe the man is suffering from this hysteria or some fear or something like that. But it was quite just an excitement and nothing else. All right. Now what it says? They went across the road into the park and Klonzner led the way to the great peach tree at the foot of which stood the long black coffin box of the machine and the axe. What did you bring it out here? The doctor asked. I wanted a tree. There ain't big trees in the garden. And why the axe? You'll see in a moment. But now please put on these earphones and listen. Listen carefully and tell me afterwards precisely what you hear. I want to make quite sure. Now what happened? The doctor said, why you have brought your machine here? You are making experiments in the garden. The man told that there was no big tree in the garden and that's the reason he has brought it here. And now the doctor asked for he said, okay, put the earphones on and I want you to hear this. Klonzner bent down and flicked and switched off the panel of the machine. Then he picked up the axe, took his stand with his legs apart, ready to swing. For a moment he paused. Can you hear anything? He said to the doctor. Now, sometimes it happens na, कि if someone is going to hit you, you shout at the instant, like you start shouting at the instant that you are gonna be hit. It happens. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Put your cameras
Yes, sir.
on. Now that's what he says. Did you hear anything? Can I? What? Can you hear anything? Just a humming sound. Now what happened? He asked whether the doctor could hear anything, and the doctor told that only humming sound was to be heard. We are gonna class and we will rejoin the class. And today we will finish the chapter. All right? Is that clear?
Ma'am, please explain it again.
What?
Ma'am, please explain it again.
Which one? What? See, he has called the doctor in the park. He has put the earphones on, and he has just swung the axe, not hit it. All right, not hit it yet. And he has asked the doctor whether he could hear something, and the doctor told that it was just the humming sound of the machine that he could hear. Clear? Now
Yes, ma'am.
understood?
Now clear. Yes, ma'am.
Now, what Klausner stood there with the axe in his hands, trying to bring himself to swing, but the thought of the noise that the tree would make made him pause again. What are you waiting for? The doctor asked. Nothing, Klausner answered, and then he lifted the axe and swung it to the tree, and as he swung, he thought he felt he could swear he felt movement of the ground on which he stood. He felt a slight lifted of the earth beneath his foot, as though the roots of the tree were moving underneath the sound, but it was too late to check and blow, and the axe blade struck the tree and whizzed deep into the wood. At the moment, high overhead, there was cracking sound of wood splintering and swishing sound of leaves brushing against other waves, and they were both looked up. The doctor cried, "Watch! Run! Run, man! Quickly run!" Now what happened? The man, he swung the axe very high, and he thought as if the means those roots of the tree were just swinging underneath the earth, trying to run off from there, trying to escape that hit, but it was too late, and he hit the tree very hard, and the root got the axe got very deep stuck, and the doctor, he looked up, there was a sound, and he said, look up there and run. Why? What you feel like? What is happening?
The tree is going to fall now.
Yes. The doctor had ripped off the earphones, and was running fast away, but Glonsner stood spellbound, staring at the great branch, 60 feet long at least, and that was bending slowly downwards, breaking and crackling and splintering at its thickest point where it joined the main trunk of the tree. The branch came crashing down, and Klonsner leaped aside just in time. It fell upon the machine and smashed it into pieces. Underline this. The branch came crashing down, and underline from the branch came crashing down, and underline till smashed into pieces. In the paragraph before, underline. At that moment, high overhead, there was a cracking sound, and underline till quickly run. You did? Have you done that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Great heavens, shouted the doctor as he came running back. That was the near one. I thought it had got you. Now, the doctor was happy to see his patient alive. He felt as if the patient also will be smashed under the branch. All right, the branch fell over the machine and it was smashed into pieces. And the doctor said it was a very narrow escape that the narrator, the protagonist, Clongener, has got saved. Clongener was staring at the tree. His large head was leaning to one side. Upon his mouth, white face was the tense, horrified expression underlined. Clongener was staring at the tree. His large head was leaning to one side, and upon his smooth white face was a tense, horrifying appearance. Slowly he walked up to the tree and gently he prized the blade loose from the trunk. Now, Clongener, he was thinking something else. He was not listening to what the doctor was saying. He simply tried to take the axe off the tree. The doctor was still out of breath from running and excitement. Hear what? Sorry, did you hear it? He said, turning to the doctor. His voice was barely audible. Now, the pure Clongener, he spoke in such a soft tone that it was not clearly audible. He asked the doctor whether he heard that. The doctor was still out of breath from running and excitement. Hear what? In the earphones, do you hear anything when the axe struck? The doctor began to rub the back of his neck. Well said. As a matter of fact, he paused and frowned and bit off his lower lip. No, I'm not sure. I couldn't be sure. I don't suppose I had the earphones on for more than a second after the axe struck. Now what he says, he simply rubbed the back of his neck and he said, actually I had removed the earphones because it was falling, so I had removed the earphones and ran off. So I'm not sure whether I heard something or not. Yes, but what did you hear? I don't know, the doctor said. I don't know what I heard, probably the noise of the branch breaking. It was squeaking rapidly, rather irritably. Now what happened, I just heard the sound of the branch that was being break off, and that's it. What did it sound like? Clongener leaned forward slightly, staring hard at the doctor. Exactly what did it sound like? Now he was asking what the sound was like. Oh hell, the doctor said. I really don't know. I was more interested in getting out of the way. Let's leave it. Now the doctor was fed up with this and he said, I was just interested in getting off from here. I was just interested to get free from this place because it was falling off. Understood? For God's sake, how could I tell what with the half the tree falling on me, having to run for my life? The doctor certainly seemed nervous. Now, doctor, he was quite nervous and he said, please, for God's sake, stop doing this. When I can see that a tree is gonna fall on me, what do you expect me to feel like? Can I be interested to listen to something? Is it like that? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
We would run and save our lives.
Yes, that's what he said. Look, said the little man. Now his white face became suddenly suffered with color. Look, he said, you switch this up. You stitch this up. He pointed at the last gash that the axe made in the tree trunk. You switch this up quickly. So you stitch this up quickly. Now he said he had called the doctor so that he could cure that tree, stitch that wound so that it will heal very fast. Understood, everyone? Don't be
Yes,
silly,
ma'am.
said the doctor. Said, "Now, doctors, yes, they operate, yes, they stitch the wounds, but of living creature. How can a doctor stitch the wound of a tree?" Understood? That's what he said. Ki, don't be silly, huh? You do as I say, stitch it up. Constable was gripping the axe handle and he spoke softly in a curious, almost a threatening tone. Don't be silly, the doctor said. I can't stitch through wood. Come on, let's get back. What I said, don't be stupid, huh? I can't stitch wooden things. I can stitch living creatures. So you can't stitch through wood? No, of course not. Have you got